is to have an overview of Western Visions as an event, its purpose, and then specific to this year, the exhibit itself, so you begin to feel comfortable with this very few changes that we've made this year. That's goal number 1. Goal number 2 is to talk about some more specifics regarding the bidding, so that you have even more information to arm yourselves with as guests start arriving tomorrow when it opens. And then the third goal this morning, it might spill into this afternoon at about noon, is to give you some tools for being stationed in the galleries. If you have signed up to be a gallery guide or to help at the registration desk, I will reiterate this throughout the training. The purpose of this is very, very different than being a gallery guide during the rest of the year or a docent during the rest of the year. This is a sale. So we need you to help us make sales. So that I know feels very different for some of you who have trained to be a docent, or you like to be gallery guides and just talk about the collection in general and talk about what you like and what you know about the artists and all that fabulous information. This time, we need you to put your sales hat on. Because that's the purpose of the show. So those are the 3 sort of themes that we'll cover this morning and this afternoon, with those handouts to complement and supplement what I will say. And I know Carrie's got the sign-ups over there. If you haven't yet signed up online through the Sign Up Genius, you can do that by hand today. And then we will also supplement this with a document that Kathy Atkins has worked hard to produce, that will be yet another resource for you. Questions to start? Great, so if you want to look at and follow along with, the first document on the left has the Western Visions logo at the top. It is a double-sided document. This is really the only document that we're going to go through in here. And then we'll move out into the gallery. Well, it'll be the galleries, where it will be much more informative to be out there amongst the paintings and the sculptures. So this is a nice document reference tool for you. It mimics the information that is also on the website. The website that Andre and I have been managing is thorough and complete. It has every single image that is on the wall or on a pedestal on the website. All of the data about the events, everything you could want to know about the show and sale and the events associated with it are on the website. What might not be on the website is this westernvisions.org. westernvisions.org. Yeah, you can access it through wildlifeart.org. There's a button on the upper right that will connect you to westernvisions.org. What is not on that Western Visions website, we'll explain in just a moment, but this more comprehensive information about the artists. The Western Visions website does have brief bios and brief artist statements that most of the artists have written and submitted themselves. And then the document that we'll talk more about that Kathy produced is even more information that you can use. And it's very similar, if you were here last year, to the game. It's like this cool interactive with incentive for you guys to learn more about the Wild 100 that many of you played last year. So I'm not going to read this to you. I'll just highlight some of the things. So the show opens tomorrow. I will be on site between 10 and 2, staffing a desk that will be set up this afternoon at 1 o'clock in the lobby, and that's going to be our Western Visions spot. And either Andre or myself or Becky will be there all the time to answer questions, to sell tickets, to give people their packets, their bags with the information. The first event that happens is next Wednesday, the Jewelry and Artisan Luncheon. Not on site. It is at the Four Seasons this year. Many of you are attending. Thank you. Then we go a couple of days, a document that, or the free public events, if you flip it over. So on the front you see Jewelry and Artisan Luncheon. It's a ticketed event. It's a $125 ticketed event. We are sold out. Then on the back side, we put the public events. So on the calendar, the next event is a week from today. And that coincides with the gallery walk that happens in town that many of you participate in as well. So all of the galleries that are involved in the Fall Arts Festival, which is most of them, open their doors and have food and drink available for guests between 5 and 8 next Friday. This is our 4th year of participating in that same event. It's called Palettes and Palettes. But so that we do not compete, and there's no way that we could. So
Did you say 5 to 8?
In town it's 5 to 8. So that's why we have ours 3 to 5. So we don't overlap with them at all. We're playing well with our neighbors and our friends, the galleries, and so we have our free event from 3 to 5. Margaritas and quesadillas from the Rising Sage, and then everybody can go into town and go on the gallery stroll between 5 and 8. That's free. And then if you flip back over, the next event is a ticketed event. Thursday, September 17th, so 2 weeks from yesterday, are the usual artist party. So that's 5:30 to 8:30. We hope that 500 people are here. They haven't bought a ticket. Enjoying time with the artists, that nice, a little more casual, relaxed atmosphere that evening, with dinner and checking out what people might want to buy. The following night, the following evening on Friday the 18th, 2 weeks from today, the show and sale.
It's Thursday. It says Thursday.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, my mistake, Friday the 18th. Thanks for catching that. I'll fix it on the next round. Friday the 18th is the show and sale. Those of you who have history with us know that that one is an all business kind of party. People are here shopping. It's a much quicker time frame. They're making the final selections of the works that they are purchasing. Also a ticketed event. Thanks. You want one for yourself too? Yeah, so all of the details about these events are on this document. So then we switch gears on Saturday morning, the 19th, from these events, these large events, to selling whatever may not have sold on the 17th and the 18th. And so we're still here. We're responding to questions from people who have shopped and made purchases. We're processing their payments, but the show stays intact until Monday, September 28th. And so you'll see if you flip this paper over, that then the next event is called Coffee and Collect on Wednesday, September 30th. And that's when the buyers are welcome to come back if they don't want to have their piece shipped. They come to the museum and collect their paintings and sculptures that they've purchased. So the only other bits of information that you'll see on this handout is a little bit of sparse information about the Benefactor Suite. I know many of you, bless you, have signed up to help Diane Key man that space during the evenings of the artist party on Thursday the 17th. And the show and sale on Friday the 18th. So thank you to all of you who are helping Diane with that. That is our exclusive space for our sponsors and for guests who have purchased a $500 ticket. Gives them access to that Benefactor Suite with luscious, yummy food and an open bar.
How will you identify the guests? Do they have a special?
They will have, so the name tags that you'll see are the same as they have been for years, identified by a ribbon. We're going to simplify the ribbon, so it's going to be artist ribbon and benefactor ribbon. So as you police that, if you've assigned up to police that area, that's what you'll look for those 2 ribbons. Without that ribbon, no access, please. Yes, Harry can be heavy for the folks who want to coach.
Do we have to wear
Coach the bar.
sidearms?
Yeah,
Is that a 6-shooter out?
Yeah, no, hopefully there will be no 6-shooters necessary. Then on the back side, additional information, just if anybody asks, you might have someone ask, well, aren't you having the artist breakfast again? Yes, indeed, we are at the Snow King Grand View Room on Friday morning. That's same as always, same as it's been for years. And then what we do call still available, if there are any things left after Saturday night, we then rehang that show, right? We shrink it, condense it once people have picked up their purchases, and we put up whatever's left for another month and try to sell it out. So this is your sort of like comprehensive, I'm sorry about the inaccurate day of the week that you can fix by your pen. Everything else is accurate and comprehensive and mimics what's on the website. And I know a few of you are new. So if you have questions, now's the time to ask.
You want to talk about dress for everybody?
Oh, sure. Sure. If you have signed up to work or plan on signing up to work on Thursday for the artist party, that is, your open closet, but it's a fairly dressy event. I mean, of course, in Jackson, it's all over the map, but we prefer you not to have your jeans or your flip-flops or your shorts on. Easy.
Bobby.
It's a cowboy out there.
Bobby always says.
Yeah, in years past, those of you who've been with us for a long time know that in years past there was this sort of unspoken cowboy western thing. Great, go for it. If you like to rock your boots and your turquoise, more power to you. I do not, so we have relaxed that and said just, dress nicely if you're here. We will have, again, those of you who worked last year, we know that we had flowers, roses, small roses that you could put under your name tag to help identify you as staff, volunteer, someone who might know a little bit more than the average person who's at the party. We'll do that again. I ordered some of those real short stemmed, little tiny roses, pretty little roses that fit in your name tag for both Thursday and Friday. So again, just another sort of visual cue for someone who might have a question. Friday evening, if you have signed up to work, please wear black and white. And again, maybe not white flip-flops or a black t-shirt. But, on the dressier side of your black and white. But certainly not a tux. It's not at all, It's, what do they call it? Cocktail casual.
And what about the luncheon?
Oh, luncheon, yeah. Google attire for ladies' luncheon and see what comes up. Jumpsuit, a skirt, I don't know. Probably not shorts and flip-flops. All right, any other questions about that just overview document? Great, so the next thing that if you would like to use, the second handout that's on the left, I encourage you to do so for the next activity. So for the next approximately 10 minutes, I invite you to explore the galleries of where the show is. It'll be much more effective for you to just stroll around. It's not open to the public yet, so that folding door is closed right now. I will go make sure it's okay with them if we open it just a bit. Not totally open for the visitors and the guests, but enough for us to get through. So your job for the next 10 minutes, we will meet in the Bison Gallery, because it is totally open right now. We will meet in the Bison Gallery at 11:30 to regroup and answer any questions that you might have if you're using the map, the color-coded map that's in your handout. I'll mention the Bison Gallery in a little bit more than 10 minutes. A little bit, of course, you're going to want to spend more time exploring. And when you do, I'll just show you this document that I referenced earlier, and I know Carrie's going to take account of the number of you who might want to have your own printed copy versus using the online version that you've already provided.
I haven't sent out the online version yet, but so basically this is the final product of the Meet the Wild 100 game that you've been receiving in your emails. It's just optional, but a really fun way to earn Western Vision's volunteer hours from home. So basically this year's is a beautiful book that one of our volunteers, Kathy or Tat Adkins, helped compile. So she found artist photos and artist bios, and then below those we've included everyone's research that they've done into these artists. So it's a really handy little manual. Definitely, recommend taking a look at it. For anyone who would like their own hard copy, we can print you one. There's a couple of copies in the volunteer office that you can reference and use at the parties or just look through for fun. And I'll send out digital copies to everyone too. But just so I can get a count and make sure that everyone has what they need, how many people think that they might like their own hard copy version of this? Okay, awesome. Cool. And I'll send a digital copy to everyone. So everyone will have access to it, but I'll make sure I get those printed.
And it is similar to what's on the website. For sure, the website has photos of the artists and biographies of the artists, just like this document have. What the website lacks that this has is, as Carrie mentioned, your notes. If those of you who've done additional digging into the lives of the Wild 100, this contains that additional information. The website does not. So on your wandering around, hopefully if you want to reference a handout, you certainly could take the one that's on top on the right out. So many of you who are really visual maybe didn't pay much attention to the labels or the things that you were arrested at because of interest. Maybe didn't have the label up yet. But those of you who are more Apollonian and wanted to read labels noticed two types of labels. Yeah? What did you notice? Color. So there's two different colors of labels. One is our normal sort of cream colored label, and the other is a green label. Again, we hope that we're giving a variety of ways to the guests and visitors and shoppers to understand the difference between the two types of bidding.
Amy, have you checked to see whether colorblind people can tell the difference between the two?
No, I have not checked on that.
They also say on it. They also have
They do.
There's wording on each one.
Yeah.
I mean, you're right. My colorblind husband would not be able to see that green label
Yeah, my
on that
colorblind
blue wall.
husband, I don't think would either.
We will adjust upon demand, as we always do. Right now, the simple answer for why green got chosen is we had that paper in the basement. So that but it's a practical choice to have made. So if we get that response, we will adjust to it and respond to it. Thank you for pointing that out. So there are only two types of bidding. This was true last year as well. We have not changed this. Anybody notice what we did change?
The name.
The name. So those of you who've been involved with Western Visions for all of its 28 years or some portion of its 28 years, noticed that we don't have any intent to purchase labels anymore. It's confusing.
Random draws.
So we hope that the more descriptive language, it's exactly the same as intent to purchase. There's nothing different about the way that it works on the digital device. We hope, made it a more descriptive wording for that type of bid. So those of you who are new, what this means, and we do it via a digital device. Andre, would you mind running and grabbing a couple of those? In the years past, when I first started 14 years ago, we literally had boxes on the wall. And people received paper bidding booklets that they tore off that had their bidding number and then all the other information about the art. And they would tear a little piece of paper out of their bid booklet and drop it in the box. And then at the end of the night, the staff and volunteers would go around and shake up the pieces of paper in the box and randomly draw a name out of that box. We do the same thing, we just do it with a digital device instead.
So they need a card per draw. I mean, if they want to bid on two, they need two cards.
No, they need one card. The card is the same as it always has been since we've had the digital devices. When you purchase a bidding card, you get assigned a unique number that is attached to your name. And you can bid for all 230 pieces if you like with your one card.
Okay, I was looking at this.
But
One
Amy,
card per bid.
You can only bid one time.
You can only bid one time on one object. Like I can't increase my chances to, well, this one isn't a good example because he's a green label. If I really love this Cole Johnson piece and I think I want to stuff the box, I can't.
You can get your husband to.
I can encourage my friends and neighbors and loved ones and strangers to put bids in for me.
Yeah,
I can
okay.
play the system, just not with my own name. Yeah.
Amy, it says here, however, one can purchase an
Yeah.
additional card.
Yeah, that's
You
what-
can. You can. So you give you another. If you want to spend another $50, you can certainly play the system that way too, and
we
give
can
us
encourage
$1,000 to have
Yeah.
10 cards.
But it has to
Great.
be a different painting.
No, 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 no. If you gave me, if you said I really
Yes.
want that
Okay.
piece,
Okay.
and so I've encouraged my husband and my
Yes.
cousins and my neighbors as well. I want to buy 10 more bidding cards. Right? I'm gonna say, great. You owe me $500, not $50.
They all have a different number.
And they'll all have a different number.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
And a different name.
And then you're gonna have to come up with a bunch of aliases as well. So I mean, again, this is what's sort of silly about this is nobody has done that. This is not a real thing. The way they play it is to encourage their husband
Yeah.
usually or their wife
Yeah.
to increase their chances. Yeah, maybe a few friends. That's the way that it has happened historically. So random draw is exactly what it means, but the box is this device. And you'll have a chance in a few minutes to play with this. It's not any different than it has been in the past for those of you who've been with us for the 5 years, I think, that we've used the IML bidding devices. It's exactly the same. But there are a few of you who are new and would be able to
We
play
don't
with it.
have these television screens on the walls.
There's no need for screens, so that we eliminated them last year as well.
Yeah.
The screens were only necessary when we had silent bidding happening, right? So if Gigi and I were competing with each other via a more traditional silent bidding process on the same work of art, we wanted to see on the screen, oh, she outbid me again, I gotta run back and bump up my price. There is no need for that. You put your name in via the device, you're rolling the dice, you take your chances. You don't need to see on the screen until we've drawn your name. And then the sealed bids, we'll talk about sealed bids in a minute. So we've eliminated, last year we eliminated the necessity of the screens. And they're ugly. So they were no longer useful, and then I was happy to get rid of them because
Amy, is there any way to see how many people have bid on it?
no, good question. That's again the fabulousness of the random draw. People would always, when we had the little boxes, people would always were wanting to touch them, and we didn't allow that to happen either, right? There could be one name in the box, there could be 0, there could be 500, and you don't get to know that. You don't get to know what your chances are.
In the sealed bids,
Yeah, can we hold on just in case there are any other questions about random drawing, Harry, if you don't mind, and then we can go to seals? Random draw questions.
The only thing I would warn people about too is if they put their name in 10 boxes or bid on 10 random draws, they may get all 10.
That's right. So
So
you'll see that.
Warn people about
You'll
that.
see that, and that's what the language for intent to purchase was just specifically about that in the past, right? So when we would explain intent to purchase, it meant when you put your name in, you intend to buy every single piece that you've put your name in for, and we will hold you to it. So that is in italics here on the front of this document, and then later on as well. Like that is important for guests to know, especially who haven't participated in Western Visions before, because you can get really excited about 10 paintings and 5 sculptures, and you might go home with 15 things, which we would love, but you might not. Any other random draw questions? So they are identified by the cream-colored labels, and I heard through a little grapevine that I have some volunteers, I think Gigi and Marcia maybe, who are going to quality control check our labels to
Carla
make
and I.
sure. Oh, you and
Carla and I
Carla.
are doing.
I'm eternally grateful for your doing that to make sure that what I've entered on the back end on the database of the computer for the website matches what's on the label, because that's essential for the devices to work. So that the lot numbers that we've printed on the wall match what's on the website. And spelling errors, any little bobbles that we've made, that will be fantastic to have some other eyes. Because as you can imagine, Andre and I have spent the better part of 9 months with these things. And commas and misplaced L's and apostrophes, I don't even see them anymore. So thank you very much for doing that. Sealed bids are the green labels. There are 36 of them. In your handout, in your packet, that's the second handout on the right. There was no reason to produce a document that complements this for the random draws because it amounts to 189 things. Everything else that's not on this handout is random draw. But the 36 items that are available for purchase in a sealed bidding process are printed here for you. Yes?
How do you determine what is a sealed bid versus a random draw?
Good question. Can I answer it in just in a layer? So, a sealed bid, sort of separate from, not exactly the same as a silent bid, right? Silent bidding process, you're aware of the ratcheting up that's happening. You're either writing it down on a piece of paper, and I know who I'm in competition with, and I know the increments that it's being increased at. Sealed bid is for the person who walks in and sees this Nieto piece, looks at the minimum bid, the minimum price set by the artist, printed on the label, and says, no, I'll double that. I really want that painting. I'm going to put it in my bidding card to the device, dial in John Nieto, and bid $17,000 instead.
You're going to put his name or the number.
Yeah, the number. Yeah,
The number.
but sealed, meaning you don't see anybody else's bids, right? You know your own high price. And then the highest bidder gets the piece at the end of the night.
My question
Your
is,
question.
if you put in a sealed bid, and then you decide, well, gee, I want to put a higher one, can I put a higher one in?
Yes, good. Can I ask you to flip over this document and look at the last paragraph? So that's going to count as a mistake. And those of you who were here last year know that my job on Thursday and Friday nights is the troubleshooting job. So you find me as soon as possible. If a bidder comes to you and says, I entered the wrong number, I want to change my bid, I'm not sure if I think I did something wrong. And there were, I had 25 of those to handle on either night. you find me. I interface with the two gentlemen who will be here from the company who provides us with the bidding devices. It has to be fixed on the database. So those few things, that's when you're like supremely helpful, is to alert me to the need to change the database. Good question. Jocelyn's question. So the items that were placed in sealed bid, these 36 items were juried by the Programs and Events Department with the Curatorial Department and the President and CEO. Great. Good question.
Just one more.
Carla.
What is the process by which you will end that electronic device use?
They shut down at 7 o'clock on Friday night. They stop working for the guest. It's nice, isn't it? And so then, yeah, so again, it eliminates those of you who participated for years, you know, that was hard to yell at people over a loudspeaker, try to, you know, and that's when, that's why we eliminated silent bidding as well, because that's when the fights occurred, you know, so a digital computer, done, 7 o'clock. They can't enter any more bids. And then those of us who are managing the administrative end are frantic, right? And the rest of you are not, but we are very quickly and with urgency making sure the database, it's a randomizer of specially designed function of the database to pull those numbers randomly and to identify the highest bid for the seals.
Often get a question from people about pricing, and I know prices are set by the artist, and then they say, okay, what does the museum get? And I know what we've said in the past, but
It
why don't you
varies.
speak
It
to
varies
that?
per artist. So
Yes,
I'll
that's
just
what
go
I
down, you know,
said.
you can read the paragraph about tax deductibility. Somebody might ask you that. So this paragraph is provided for those few questions that you might get from visitors and guests. If you have a question about tax deductibility, basically you can only have a tax deduction if, you know, if you're paying above the market value. So it's your onus as the buyer to try to smooth that out. That's not our job. But you are getting something, you are getting a good for your purchase, even though you're purchasing it at a nonprofit. Right, Lisa? Is that right?
But what you tell people who ask about, okay, how much does the museum get versus the artist, it varies with
It
the
varies with the
desire
artist.
of the artist, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Well, and I wouldn't even say the desire, it's just
Oh.
that, you know,
The
the art,
contract
it
with
varies
the
with the
artist?
artist.
Good, okay.
Yep. Yeah,
That's
we
what
have
I've
contract,
said.
maybe the contract word is a good one. We have contracts with each and every artist on which that percentage has been identified.
Okay, that's what I've said in the past, just wanted to make sure.
donate.
Right, some of them give us, I'll go back, that's a good one too. Last year we identified the few artists, the very few artists that give us 100% donation. And we'll add that to the label. But it's not many.
So is there a minimum amount that we pay? I'm sorry, so if you wanted to give a range, anywhere from 100% to...
And again, that's like too much information. We get a percentage of the sale. It's our largest annual fundraiser. We've been doing it for 28 years as part of the Fall Arts Festival. We get a percentage of the sale. Yeah, Mary?
Well, my question was the same. A lot of people want to know more than that. What is the general range? Is it 40, 60, 30?
It varies so much, I'm not even comfortable sharing that.
It varies dramatically.
It varies with the artist, just as it does in a gallery. You know, you could, maybe the conversation with the guest is, the same is true for galleries. We essentially act as the gallery during this sale, and so we have that same relationship with the artists that they have with their galleries, and that negotiation varies with every individual artist.
How is it determined where the art is hung or displayed?
Oh, okay, good question. So as you were wandering around, you noticed a change this year in the way we have hung the show. So in the past years, The King Gallery was dedicated to those artists who offered to give us a sketch. So again, just more information for you guys. When we invite, this is an invitational. Martha was asking this earlier. This isn't an application process by which everybody who applies and wants to be in the show is in the show. We get hundreds of inquiries and applications wanting to be in the show. It's an elite show. We have a juried selection. It is an invitational. Artists are invited to be in the show. They do not apply. When we invite them, they are invited to give us up to 3 works of art. And you'll notice that might be fun for you to do as you're exploring and using the cool tool of Kathy's to decide, oh, Ron Kingswood gave us 1 thing. Christine Mullaney gave us 3 things, right? So that's just like the percentage of the sale that goes to us that they get to make a decision about. They get to make a decision about the number of objects that they give us, up to 3. So the change that we made was to hang all works by the same artist in the same place. So that you're not having to send somebody out, oh, you want to buy, you like Chad Poppleton's sketch, you got to go back out to the King, find it, alpha sorted. They were alpha sorted, but now it's roughly alpha sort with not being a slave to the alpha sort. We want to make it look good. So there's some fluidity in the alpha, but it starts at the north end of King with Aldrich, Arthur, right, and it moves down here, jogs a little bit around there, then comes in here. So again, you can just get familiar with that, but it's for the most part a clockwise movement beginning at the north end of King and ending in Changing Visions. With Zeminski in Gilchrist. So good question, thank you for pointing that out. And you notice that, I hope, that you go, oh, I love it. I think it's really nice to see all 3 of Timothy David Mayhew's pieces together.
That's great. I like it.
So we'll see that. That was a simple cosmetic change
But so
to make.
easy, so much easier.
Yay, good.
How many works are up for sale?
We have 231 objects for sale. Inclusive. Now, and that's not quite accurate. That's unique objects, but some sculptures, we have multiples available. So that's another thing. We were scrambling to get the labels up with the basic tombstone information on it right now. Now, next week, we'll have the time to go back and add if an artist is giving us 100% donation, or if there are multiple editions available for purchase of any of the sculptures.
And after the sale is done, you have this other month where it's up, and those that did not sell are up for sale. The price on those do not change
They
during
do
that.
not change. Those of you who have shopped post-sale know that there is some haggling that happens at that point in time. But that's post-sale.
And who haggles? Who does the haggling?
The way we work it is if you're the shopper and you come and say to me, well, I would really prefer to pay $20,000 instead of $22,000 for this sculpture, then I say, let me talk to the artist. Let me call Mr. Dollinger. So we're the medium. We serve as the gallery to communicate with the artist, to pose the question of a reduced price to them.
I think the 30% new artists is an interesting
Okay,
fact.
good, yeah. So in addition to the information that you might, if somebody says, well, how do you get into the show? And, how did you select the Wild 100? So in addition to it being an invitational, we were committed to having a 30% rotation this year, right? Meaning we wanted approximately 30%. I think we exceeded that, actually. If I went and counted, it might be a little higher than that. 30 artists in the show this year who were not in it last year. Right? So someone might come in and look, oh gosh, you don't have a bill HF? You always have HF.
Yeah.
You've had HF for 27 years. Not this year. Mr. HF was rotated out. Tim Schunebarger, geez, you got a sculpture of his in the permanent collection. I just walked by it. Where's Tim Schunebarger? Rotate it up. And yeah, and you know, you can imagine what happens there.
Okay, Amy,
Yeah.
you reminded me on some of the items that have more than one
Yeah.
available.
Yeah.
Be careful if you tell the shoppers to stuff the ballot box,
Yeah.
you know, so you don't want your husband and yourself to
Right.
both enter, because you may win 2 of these.
Right, then you have a matching, lovely matching pair of mates. Yeah, and again, we will hold you to that purchase, so be careful with multiple.
So I remember in the past, sometimes people want to be, before there was an application process, now it's an invitational. So if they want to get recognized, to be invited, who can they lobby with? Or you just saying,
There, so no lobbying
No lobbying.
accepted, but there is, on the website, there is a button that says about, and then on the drop down it says invitational, and it has a very, very sparse but accurate paragraph that explains what I just did, and then says, if you would like to be considered, submit your name and address.
Okay.
And then we get that information.
Perfect.
And beginning in October, we pour through the hundreds of applicants that we have to determine which ones of them may be considered for invitation.
So 2016 is not already
No,
done?
that's true.
Okay.
No, because we take into consideration this show, right? Like
The
I would want to
popularity.
decide right now
Yeah.
who is coming back next year.
Okay.
Because it's a sale.
Perfect. Thanks.
Yeah.
Are the still available items posted anywhere?
Yes,
on the internet?
good question. So that's part of the work that we do, that many of you notice have helped us with that in the past, or know that the night of the show and sale on Friday, in the past we've put stickers that say still available. That seems wildly confusing to me. So what we're going to do instead is behave like every other gallery in the world does and put a red dot on everything that's sold.
Nice.
This year. So to me that's a more consistent visual cue, like, I can't buy that anymore, it's got a red dot on it. So we'll scramble to do that so that on Saturday morning the 19th, whatever is lacking a red dot is still available. And then I also go into the database, a portion of the website, and make that visible through that as well. Because last year we sold several paintings via the website after the fact. People who were watching or couldn't make it to the show and sale, and they were like, what, the Bateman didn't sell? Right on, I'm going to buy it right now. So, yeah. So 2 different ways. If you're on site, there's a visual cue, and on the website it says still available. Any other questions about this document? Coffee and Collect used to be called Art of Bruin. Again, we're just going for more descriptive language. September 30th, that's when, if somebody asks you, but I want to take my painting home right now. Great, you can. This is a museum. This is an exhibit. The exhibit is intact until Monday morning, September 28th. At which time we start taking the things that sold off the wall and packing them for shipping or getting them ready to be picked up, and moving the things that didn't sell to the King Gallery. Yeah.
Do you want to talk about the people that can't come here and can bid on?
I sure can. Karen, can you keep track of time for me? I'm sorry, I didn't. Okay, good. So we have 15 more minutes. Let me just tell you what else is in the folder, and then, yeah, we can continue to answer questions. So, like I said, you've got the sealed bid document, just as a quick reference guide. It doesn't have images, but you've at least got the titles and information. The third handout on that side is, again, familiar to those of you who've been here for years. And we just made the handwritten is to mimic the type of bidding. For sealed bid, here's the process. I encourage you, when you're here in the next few weeks, I will have baskets of those bidding devices that you saw Andre and I using this out on tables. And then as the show approaches, we put more out. But I encourage you to just refamiliarize yourself with those devices. Most of our guests are used to them by now, but there's still a learning curve. It's still not everybody's favorite way to place a bid. And so your help is greatly appreciated. And then the random draw is slightly different because you're not having to enter as much information. But you can practice with that at your leisure. And then finally, the last document in the folder was provided by a young woman named Kira Wakeman, who works at the Deal Gallery in town. We asked her if she could provide some information about sales. Again, knowing that not all of us are comfortable with sales. I'm sure many of you have worked sales in a variety of ways and are fabulous at it. If you're not, she's got some great tips and ideas about ways to improve your sales skills. Because again, I will reiterate, this is our largest fundraiser. Our sales revenue goal is ambitious. And without us selling these works of art, we won't meet that revenue goal. So I know it feels really different for those of you who have trained to be docents or gallery guides, in which you're sort of visiting with people and sharing information in general about the artists or the objects. We really need your help to sell the paintings and the sculptures. It would be amazing if we sold the show out, and I'm guessing we could if we all trained ourselves a little bit on sales. So there's no reason for me to read this to you, but she's got a lot. I mean, basically the salient point of what she's saying is be confident. You know more about these things than the buyer. If you know stories, narratives, little snips and bits about any of the painters, people love that. And that can move you towards a sale. She's even got some interesting, if the buyer says, well, I'm having my house built and I just don't know if it'll fit, she's even got good tips about what to say in response to things like that.
Around this piece.
Right, exactly. It doesn't matter how big your wall is. This thing will look great, no matter where you put it. So this is helpful, useful, if you're feeling a little nervous about being a salesperson. So, Marcia, sorry, I then forgot what you were asking.
Especially happens before the show opens, and before the big parties, and someone's walking through, they didn't even know the event was going on, and they say, I might want one. You can say, well, go home, think about it, look on the website, and if you want to bid, you can.
Yes, good. So, and this happens a lot. There are lots of tours. In fact, last year we sold a tremendous number of bidding cards to people who placed bids and had no intention of coming to the events. So if they're on site, that's the best thing to do. You're sending them out to the lobby to visit with me, Andre, or Becky to purchase a bid card. It's $50. And then we'll have the devices available, they can place their bid. That's probably who you're going to encounter. We certainly are managing, and we have the capacity to manage folks who come to us electronically via email, or we certainly manage shoppers who have attended Western Visions for years. They can't come this year, they really want to. They saw the Kozak on the website, but most of those requests are coming directly to me, Andre, and Becky via our past relationships with Western Visions attendees. I imagine for most of you, you'd be having person-to-person contact with tourists, visitors who aren't going to be here on the 17th and 18th. And they can start bidding anytime tomorrow, anytime after tomorrow. 9 a.m. bidding is open. Good question. The one other change that is worth noting is that we do not have a catalog. You notice that? No catalog. So it was a decision made with our fabulous new marketing department and Jennifer Wadeveld. That I was always curious, like, what exactly happens to those catalogs? We've got boxes of them in the basement. They're very expensive to produce. The artists love them because then they have their piece in it. But I always wondered, like, what happens to them when someone gets it with their ticket or buys one? Where's it going? What's its purpose? Is it translating into sales? Is it translating into visitation? Or is it a very expensive piece of garbage? So we made the decision to produce a magazine instead that's very much like a Call of the Wild that you received earlier in the year and may have already received as well, Western Visions magazine. And it has a very different flavor. It's editorials, beautifully written editorials by Kirsten Rue. And certainly images, but not comprehensive of all the artists. So it truly is a magazine, and our reach, the exposure for that, multiplied by thousands. Right? So again, to me that felt really great, to spend less money and have much more exposure for the show and sale, even though it's going to be missed by some people for sure. Now, to counteract that feeling of loss, we are producing a visual price list. So we will have, probably by the end of next week, a document that's bound very much like this, that will have every single image, and then the bare bones information that the shopper might want: artist name, title, price, lot number.
Size?
No, because they can see it. There's one other. Yeah, lot number, artist name, title of the painting, price, and whether it's sealed bid or random draw. And then a few little lines to make notes on. Because then that, a lot of visitors use the catalog as they were wandering around shopping, like, oh, if I'm having to choose 3 things, I want to wander around and make notes so I can come to a decision. So
Are these
this,
purchased then?
nope.
Oh, they're not?
No, we produce
No,
them
no.
in-house, so you'll just
And the magazine also?
get one. The magazine will have, if you purchase a ticket to the event, you get the magazine. The artists will get the magazine. Yeah, so the same list that received the Call of the Wild, the same thousands of people who got Call of the Wild, also received the Western Visions magazine.
Oh,
So
it's
that's
coming in the mail?
just hit our desks this week, so it's just barely on the floor, so to speak. But that'll be a big, that's a noticeable change for all of you who have history with the show.
Can you address people taking pictures? Because that happens all the time.
You're welcome to take pictures, but there's no reason to, because it's on the website. A much better picture taken by a professional photographer hired by the artist is on the website.
But so no flashes, the same rules as...
Yeah, same rules. It flashes about
But
courtesy
if
to
you take a
other
picture of
guests.
anything.
Right? The flashes about that. Don't be a jerk and put your flash right in front of someone else's face. But you're welcome to take a picture. There's just no reason to.
People do all the time.
They do all the time. They do all the time. It's fine.
So who will get the visual price lists? Will that just be handed out that evening?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, it's a tool to be used during the evenings of the 17th and 18th. And I'll have to check with Jennifer. It's still in production. I'll have to check with what the print run is, how many we were planning to produce. We will be able to produce more. But again, I'm sensitive to producing something and then having boxes of them left over.
Right. That's kind of why I was
Because
asking.
if you offer it, people will take it.
Right.
And then you go like, what are you going to do with that?
Throw it away? So is there a little image on the price list?
Yeah, visual price list.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, okay.
Yeah. In the past, it was just a text
list,
price
right.
list, truly a list with very little room to make notes. So we enhanced it with an image and more room for notes.
So I think you may have already answered this, but something I've always been wondering about is the photographs that are taken of these artworks. They're provided by the artist, is that right? So they're either professional or else
Or
just
not,
really
yeah.
well done. Yeah,
Yeah,
but that's where they come from.
Yeah. I mean, we've taken a few because in some cases, like Doug Height's sculpture arrived yesterday and I don't have an image, so we took one because I want one. We only had to do that twice this year. All the rest of the objects were photographed by the artist or professional photographer. Remember? But the quality varies dramatically, as you've noticed on the website.
It looks like on the map that the Rungas Gallery thing.
Yeah, that was, Marcia caught that as well. I'll correct that for the next round of training on Tuesday. Thank you. Yep, so I've already corrected the typo about the day of the week. And then Andre and I can correct that to exclude the Rungas Gallery. Thank you for catching that.
I just noticed on the magazine and also on the invitation that Terry is not credited.
Well, he is credited on the inside, and he's profuse in his gratitude for the amount of coverage he is getting for his lovely painting.
But you had to turn to page 38 to see the spread. There, you know, it right inside. Usually, you look for the cover down by. So just for next year.
Yeah, he's got a full
Oh, yes.
3-page spread.
Yes, he does.
He's got.
But you don't
ample
know that looking
coverage.
at the cover.
He's thrilled to have.
So Amy, I want to reference back to something you said earlier, and that is when an artist is rotated out of the show, would that be because of lack of sales by that artist?
Not necessarily. There's a whole host of reasons. Again, we have 100 artists. We've got 500 that want to be in the show.
Can I mention something about the thank you tea really quick? The Western
Please,
Visions
do.
thank you tea?
Yeah.
Just before I forget. In the past, as you all know, we have done a Western Visions volunteer thank you. Sometimes it's been a luncheon, sometimes it's been a dessert. This year we're going to do a thank you tea. It's going to be in the Rising Sage Cafe on September 23rd. That's a Wednesday, from 3:30 to 5 p.m. Anyone who has participated in Western Visions in any capacity, you don't even have to work at the events, just like participated in any capacity, is invited to the tea. We'll have a raffle for prizes based on your hours that you've contributed, and also future hours that you've signed up for. So for instance, if you're like, wow, I want to kind of like boost my standing in that raffle and like sign up for a bunch of still available slots in October, if you sign up for those before the tea, you know, we'll count those toward your entry. But also it's just a fun way to say thank you of tea and finger sandwiches, and Jim's farewell celebration is piggybacking on that in the members lounge. So it could be a nice evening at the museum. So I just wanted to mention that. We'll send out more reminders, but just before I forgot, that's a good thing to be aware of.
I think we've reached our time limit.
Yes, and what's y'all's rationale for not having a featured artist in sculpture?
Yeah, good question. That's another change. And again, that was in years past, sometimes we attached programming to featured artists that we found over the years just didn't garner as much attendance and support as the work that was done warranted. And we used it primarily for the magazine, right? So the featured artists then were the easy selections for the covers of the magazine. So the elimination of the magazine, for the most part, eliminated the need for a featured artist. So good question. But we still have the 4 awards. In fact, at the same time as we were doing this, the collections committee was selecting the trustee purchase award. So we will switch out the label as soon as we know which work of art was selected to be acquisitioned for the permanent collection. Then they were also selecting the Robert Coons Sketch Award from those artists who opted to give us a sketch. Then the People's Choice ballots I just put out on a podium in the Gilcrease at the end of the show. And I'll just put pencils out there now, but it's on one change that Andre helped me make this year is that it's on that legal size paper so that all 231 objects are on front and back instead of having stapled papers. And I'll keep up with those, check those daily to keep printing those. That I scrambled to tally on the night of the show before we announced the winners at 7-ish. And then the Red Smith Award.
And which one is that? Red Smith?
Red Smith is the artist selection. So the artists, when they come and get their materials, they're given a Red Smith ballot and they choose their favorite piece.
And no, not all of them choose themselves. We wouldn't be able to give the award. So some of them are very honest in selecting their favorite piece, and I tally those that night, and we announce the Red Smith Award at the Artist Breakfast on Friday, the 18th. So we do still give those 4 awards, even though we are not having a featured painter or featured sculptor. Okay, I don't need to wear you out. Thank you for being here. If you want to do this again on Tuesday with corrected documents, we will do it again. I think you're invited to have lunch, take a little break, and then if you want to stay, we have a work party starting at 1 to finish up the little bit of wrapping that we have for the jewelry luncheon gifts, and to start stuffing those bags. Remember those nice little canvas bags that say Wild 100? We're going to do those things again this year with a magazine, some collateral from galleries who purchased the right to have their materials in those bags. So if you want to come back, you want to have a quick break for lunch and come back at 1, please do.
You've done a great job.
Yeah.
Great job with the changes.